Hi everyone, welcome back to the Hollywood Actors Guide to Surviving the Film and Television Industry. This is your host, Jennifer Lynn Warren. Let's get started with our favorite topic, acting. Now, I know that we can't help but be influenced by the things that we see on stage and television and on screen. But have you noticed that as you go through life, so many things happen that you're like, oh man, if this happened in a movie, no one would believe it. Or if I portrayed that character I'm seeing, or that person I'm seeing walking down the street right now, everyone would think I'm overacting. And I think that instead of trying to portray this boring base reality that we have been trained to accept as naturalistic acting, that we start looking beyond the cliches of life. If you were going to play, for instance, Lady Macbeth, you would probably want to, your natural instincts would be like, oh, she's a lady. She has very good posture. She speaks eloquently. She, whatever it is that you think Lady Macbeth should be. God, that was awful. See how bad cliches can be? And you're going to fall into all of these things, or when she's trying to get the blood off her hands, you're going to fall into a cliche of what somebody falling into madness would look and sound like. And I would say that's why you're not booking, and that's why you're not interesting. Okay, I know that came off really harsh, but it's so true. Now, you can then go on the other side and you're like, well, my Lady Macbeth doesn't use proper manners, and she slouches and this and that, and then we have trouble believing that she's actually a lady. So there is an intellectual exercise in not making a character a cliche, but still finding what makes them human. And so you just need to be careful that you don't water down the truth to make the lives of our characters natural, whatever natural quote means. Because, one of my favorite examples, if I think I might be going too far with a character, I'll look up, I might be dating myself here, but Antoine Dobbs's interview on YouTube. It's a real person, and if actors had been given the script of what he says in this interview, and an actor came in and actually was Antoine Dobbs and spoke the way he spoke, it would be very easy to just dismiss it right away, because you're like, oh, that seems over the top and crazy, and who would act like this? Well, this human being right here actually does act like this in normal life. And so what I'm going to ask you to do this week, a little assignment, I haven't done an assignment in a while, is really pay attention to your real life, not only to yourself, but to others, and see what's happening. And you can even watch the news, you can, things like that, and see when people are just like acting the way that you would think, man, if I portrayed the character that way, people might think I'm, quote, overacting, or it's not natural. But guess what? It is. And when you look at the performances of great actors, we like to say, oh, wow, they make really, really bold choices. And I am beginning to wonder if it's not that they're making bold choices, it's that their eyes are more open to what humanity means and how humanity acts than most people. And that is where their brilliance comes from. Let's get down to business. It has come to my attention that a lot of actors and people in the industry don't know what a director does. Actors only see directors as somebody who watches their performance and doesn't think much beyond that. And so I think there's a great description from the Directors Guild of Canada, and I'm going to read it to you. The director is engaged by the producer and assigned by the producer to direct a motion picture. That means, by the way, that the producer is the director's boss. So some actors seem to think that the director is the main boss. It's not. It's the producer, everyone. The director directs whatever is seen and heard in a motion picture. The director has the right to be present on the set whenever shooting is in progress. I would hope so, right? The fact that the director may also render services as producer or writer or in any other capacity shall not change the director's job classification, which references to work performed as a director and during the period of such work. Meaning oftentimes, guys, when a director is hired, they go in and rewrite the script. So just know that the director is also a writer on whatever you're auditioning for, so try to get the words right. The terms director and directing, as used herein, shall include directing all related functions and activities required for translating and transferring the premise, idea, and or concepts to the audio-visual images. So that means, my dear actors, they're not only directing your performance, they're directing the set, the camera movement, the props, the costumes, the makeup. They're making decisions for every department. A director's duties include the following: survey and approve all locations and their use as they pertain to the directorial idea and need, directorial planning and breakdown of the shooting script, plot the camera angle and compositions within the frame, participate in determining the requirements of the set, costumes, makeups, props, etc., for their proper directional, perspective, and mechanical functioning, participate in the final casting of all performers, rehearse actors, extras, and any of the visual and audio devices necessary for the completion of the production, direct the action of all performers, extras, etc., direct the dialogue as well as pre-recording and post-recording of dialogue, directly supervise the duties of the entire crew during the rehearsal and shooting periods, make such script changes as necessary within the director's jurisdiction for the proper audio-visual presentation of the production, the right to the first cut. The director's total function is to combine creativity to all the above elements and to guide, mold, and integrate them into one cohesive, dynamic, and aesthetic whole. So many of you are complaining to me doing self-tapes. You're like, oh, now I have to make sure the camera's in focus and the lights and have my lines. And it's like, welcome to the idea of what your director is dealing with on set. This is why you need to be prepared and you need to be the answer to a solution, the answer to a problem that they have. The problem is the casting of the character. They don't have time to tell you very specifically what they need from you. They need you to just do the work yourself and to show up on the day and deliver. This is why many times you won't even have a director talk to you on set. If you are doing what you are supposed to do, great. They can go off and make sure the camera is doing what it's supposed to do. The props look right. The costumes don't look weird. That the lighting is getting done on time, because they're also responsible for budget and schedule. So they have to make sure that they make their day if they want to keep working and to keep the producers happy. To make sure, there's so many things that can get them fired, and your performance is one of the least of them, believe it or not. And so instead of complaining about everything you have to do with a self-tape, think about everything a director has to do. Have compassion for their job and understand that you are just a tiny, tiny, tiny cog. Even if you are the lead of the film, you are a tiny cog in everything that actually has to be accomplished to actually have that film be made and be seen by an audience. So this is just a little bit of a lesson of some insight on what a director does. And if you know what they do, then you're better equipped to help them. So if you've been a longtime listener of the podcast, you know I do bring up Stanislavski occasionally, as he is the father of all of our acting techniques of the modern day. And if you have been looking into his work, you will have at some point come across relaxation. This is huge for me. This is a make it or break it as to whether or not my performance or my audition goes well for me personally. And so I wanted to put it down under survival because I think it's not only good for your acting career, it's good for your personal life as well. And this is a quote about relaxation from Stanislavski. To the performance lays the whole secret, the whole soul of creativeness on stage. All the rest would come down from this state of perception and of physical freedom. I ceased to be afraid of the audience. All of that from Stanislavski, just learning how to relax. And you hear it, I know you're hearing it from all the health gurus and all the memes on the Instagram, and everyone's like, relax, relax, relax. They're practically shouting it at you, and you're like, how can I relax? And you just keep commanding me to relax. But it is so important. And a really great resource that I recently started to use is before I have an audition or a reading, I go on our sponsor's website, weaudition.com. Here's something that I didn't even realize was there, and it is so cool. There is, under the left side, if you go to community advice, there are actor meditations. Here's what's so brilliant about it. At first, I kind of rolled my eyes because I follow Sam Harris's meditations. I have meditations that I like to use. And I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and check out one of these We Audition's meditations. And here's the thing, is they have meditations on there for pre-audition grounding. And it's only 7 minutes. They have self-empowerment for actors, breath work, actors' mental health, all of this stuff that if you just sit and breathe and listen to these meditations before going into your performance, you are so relaxed. And I promise you, your performance is a million % better if you can relax. Even if you have to be angry and upset, if you're relaxed, you can actually unlock those emotions in your body. And it sounds like such the opposite of what should be happening, right? But it's not, because if you actually truly are upset and frustrated as a person, you're not going to be able to access the correct emotions for your character. Now, sometimes, yes, you can use your own personal frustrations in a performance, but I believe that is an advanced actor skill to know how to use that properly. And if you're a beginner, you must start from a baseline of 0 and build, because you don't understand your own emotions yet. If you are booking a lot and you're working all the time and you're like, no, sometimes I like to use my emotions, that means you are a trained actor, you have technique in that, and good for you, go use it. But I would even say, even when I have days where I'm like, oh, I'm going to use this frustration, still, if I go into a meditation and I relax and I do box breathing, which I talked about on this podcast before, and I relax, I'm telling you, the lines come faster because my brain is not in a panic mode thinking about other things. So your memorization is easier, your performance is easier, and you feel and look more like a grounded human being on camera than if you are all distracted or worried or desperate about booking work. So that's one way to get rid of desperation, that smell of desperation that some actors have, is through relaxation and meditation and mindfulness. So thank you, We Audition. If you would like to subscribe to get 25% off of your membership forever, use promo code HAG25, HAG25. That's weaudition.com, promo code HAG25. Go on there, get a reader for your audition, do meditations, record your self-tape, especially if you're in a hotel room somewhere, they have the ability to do that, and start book that work. Okay, thank you everybody. I know this is a little bit longer this week. Who cares? It was great information. Break a leg out there, and remember, you are not alone.